Insulin resistance is a diagnosis that a lot of people hear today. It's often linked to your diet and physical activity, but there's a third important factor that rarely gets mentioned: your sleep and the timing of your meals. Your cell's sensitivity to insulin actually changes throughout the day, and it depends heavily on your sleep schedule and when you eat. In this video, we'll break down what insulin resistance really is and why one person gains weight when another loses weight on the same diet. By the end, I'll give you some simple, practical tips on how to build a daily routine that helps you better control your weight, blood sugar, and insulin levels. Sometimes you feel like you are not eating that much, maybe even eating fewer calories than you should, and yet the weight keeps increasing. According to the law of conservation of energy, if you burn more energy than you consume, you should lose weight. In theory, that's true. Maybe it works in physics, but not in the biology of your body. Two people can eat the exact same diet, yet one will slim down while the other gains weight. One of the big reasons of this unfairness is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance happens when your body cells stop responding properly to insulin, the hormone that allows sugar to pass from the blood into cells. Sugar remains in the blood and cannot enter the cells and nourish them, so they cannot get energy and starve. Without food and energy, they die, and the functions of many organs may be impaired. Insulin resistance can be triggered by poor diet, excess weight, obesity, eating a lot of fatty foods, or living a sedentary lifestyle. But even in healthy people, insulin sensitivity isn't constant. It changes depending on the time of day. But one thing never changes: the quality of information on my channel. Only fresh research, only scientifically proven methods, and a conscious approach to health. Subscribe and I will help you get to know yourself better, understand how your body works, and live happier and healthier. Our bodies follow circadian rhythms, our built-in biological clock that regulate everything from sleep and wake cycles to hormone release and digestion. These processes don't just happen randomly. They are carefully scheduled in specific windows of time. Normally, this internal clock is synchronized with the light outside the window and reacts to signals from our eyes, to the amount and quality of light we see. These signals go to the specific structure in the brain that tells all other systems what time it is, which reset the circadian rhythm of the whole body to the natural 24-hour cycle of day and night. But besides the master clock in the brain, individual organs and even cells have their own tiny clocks. Your liver, fat tissue, muscles, and pancreas all keep time too. Unlike the brain, though, they don't get direct signals from your eyes. Instead, they rely on cues from the brain, hormone levels in the blood, especially cortisol and melatonin. So these organs rely on the complex signal from different sources, not only on brain's clock. And the important part of this complex signal is your behavior. How does your digestive system know that it's night time? The clue is simple. At night, you are supposed to be still, not moving around, not eating. You are asleep. If instead you are active and eating late, your body gets mixed signals. Hormones and the nervous system say it's night, but your behavior says it's day. That's when chaos begins. Now here's where insulin comes in. Cells also run on a glucose schedule, a time of day when they are most sensitive to insulin and ready to absorb sugar. In the morning, insulin sensitivity is higher. If you eat something sweet for breakfast, your blood sugar will drop quickly because your hungry cells, starved overnight, are ready to grab that glucose almost instantly. By evening, insulin sensitivity goes down, So the sugar from late-night chocolate bar or pastry lingers in your bloodstream for much longer. To deal with it, your pancreas has to release extra insulin just to push glucose into resistant cells. That means what required only a small insulin response in the morning becomes a heavy load on your pancreas at night. It all comes down to timing. And this is universal for all people, including healthy ones. Muscle tissue follows the same rhythm. Muscles are designed to take up sugar in the morning to use it as an energy source during the day. But by evening, your whole system shifts into energy-saving mode. You are heading into rest, not movement. The nervous system slows down, uses less energy, and muscles don't need much fuel and don't take glucose from the blood so effectively. So the sugar that stays in your blood has to go somewhere, and your body stores it as fat. At night, your body makes emergency reserves, stash for a rainy day in fat. And fat tissue itself has its own clock that works oppositely. With insulin resistance, fat tissue often remains more sensitive to insulin than other tissues, so it just keeps storing and expanding and expanding. At the same time, it dumps free fatty acids into your blood, and liver tries to process them and turns them into VLDL, the most harmful type of cholesterol. Other tissues grab these fats and stash them in places they shouldn't be, like in the liver or between muscle fibers. Over time, this hidden fat accumulation becomes a serious health risk. In cattle farming, marbled beef is produced by feeding cows grain and corn, giving them beer and keeping them in tight stalls with almost no movement. Fat builds up between muscle fibers, creating that marbled texture. The same thing can happen in humans too when we overeat and don't move enough. Our muscles and organs start storing fat in the wrong places, and this isn't a good thing. The liver creates the biggest chaos. In the evening, when its cells don't respond to insulin well, the liver mistakenly thinks there is not enough glucose in the blood, so it starts producing more by breaking down fat. That means, on top of already high blood sugar caused by insulin resistance, the liver is adding even more sugar into the bloodstream. In other words, instead of helping, the liver actually makes the problem worse. You can see that the processes in our body during the morning and day are completely different from those in the evening and at night. And this isn't unique to humans. Other animals follow the same biological rhythms. Let me give you an example. This study was conducted on mice. Mice are nocturnal animals. It is natural for them to be active at night and eat at night too, and sleep during the day. In research, they took 2 groups of mice and fed them absolutely the same diet with the same calorie content. But one group was fed at their usual time at night, and the other during the day at an unusual time. As a result, the second group gained 20% of its weight in only 1.5 months, just because of the time of feeding. To put that in human terms, for example, if I switched to eating only at night, I could easily gain about 12 kilos. Luckily, humans don't gain weight as rapidly as mice, but over 6 months of night eating, the effect would be very similar. And in fact, studies in humans confirm this, especially night shift workers. They gain weight and their risk of obesity and diabetes is very high. This happens because the disruption of the body's internal clock. And this disruption throws metabolism off balance. Research also shows that people working night shifts have a shorter life expectancy, higher risk of depression, and more mental health problems. And it's not just because they sleep less, it's also because they eat at night, when their body is designed to be resting. That's why it's so important to avoid late night eating. And whenever possible, go to bed before those midnight cravings kick in. But here's something many people overlook. Our internal clocks can be disrupted not only by food and activity, but also by light. Artificial light at night or blackout curtains in the morning can shift our central clock. Light is the most powerful cue for our circadian rhythm. Normally, daylight tells our brain it's daytime, and darkness tells it's time to sleep. But if light continues to affect us at night, even low levels of it raises the risk of obesity, diabetes, and insulin resistance. And we are not talking about stadium lights, just 8-10 lux, like that. The level of light from a night lamp or street lights through a window, that tiny amount of light can confuse your body's clock and push your metabolism in the wrong direction. Sleep disruption by itself also affects how sensitive your cells are to insulin. There was a study done on healthy people who were chronically sleep deprived. In just 2 weeks, when participants increased their sleep by only 40 minutes, their fasting insulin dropped, glucose tolerance improved, and their blood sugar went down. Just 40 extra minutes of sleep. So if you believe that 5-6 hours of sleep is enough and there's no need to waste more time in bed, it's a dangerous belief. There is a tiny fraction of people on the earth, less than 0.1% of the population, who really can sleep only 5-6 hours without harm. But for everyone else, chronic sleep deprivation is damaging. Lack of sleep affects every single aspect of your health. Sleep loss impairs the part of your brain that helps you make thoughtful decisions. That's why it's much harder to resist overeating or to choose a salad over a dessert if you didn't sleep well last night. So if you want your insulin to stay in balance and avoid weight gain, here's what you need to do. First of all, get enough sleep. Every night, not just on weekends. At least 7.5 hours every night. And for some people, even 8.5 hours. And that means actual sleep, not just lying in bed. If you can't live without sugar and pastries, try to have it only before noon. Don't eat dinner too late. The latest meal should be around 8 p.m. or 3-4 hours before bedtime. After that, no snacks, no healthy crackers, no protein powders, no sweet teas, no drinks at all except water. Even calorie-free drinks with sweeteners can still trigger insulin release. Go to bed before the hunger kicks in again. Don't stretch your evenings with endless shows or scrolling. Think of every extra episode as an extra inch on your waistline. Is it worth it? Avoid night shifts and late night activities. Even a single sleepless night puts a heavy strain on all your body. Keep your environment bright during the day. Then, 2-3 hours before bed, reduce light exposure, especially blue light from screens. At night, keep your room completely dark. No night lamps, no glowing chargers, no LEDs, no street lights through the window. Cut back on dietary fat and sugar. Too much fat and calories reduce insulin sensitivity. And here's a bonus tip. After each meal, take a short walk. Just 10-15 minutes, even when you feel like lying down. This simple habit helps your muscles use glucose right away from the bloodstream, lowering blood sugar and preventing it from turning into fat. Even with the same calorie intake, if you know how to work with your body's natural rhythms, you can lose weight and get healthier. Use this knowledge to your advantage. And now you know that you can find such useful tips on my channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Watch my videos, be healthier, and see you in the next videos.